Hello everybody, David here, and I have to say meow. Today I am cosplaying my pussycat, who is an all black, short hair, witch's cat. Right, so I've been having a lot of trouble lately with stuff, depression, anxiety, a lot of what other people have, except stress literally makes me sick. As a result, I'm trying a new strategy. I'm trying to do stuff that, to use Marie Kondo, her phrase, things that spark joy. Like flying with a black cat head on. My next project was going to be finishing the warehouse complex over here. There it goes, starts loading. But that really doesn't give me much joy. I mean, it'd be kind of cool to have a little secret area to play around in and go, ooh, look, it's secret, no one else knows about it. But, and I could always go in this direction for ages and ages and ages, and do another episode fixing or finishing, continuing to finish the university college campus build, UCL, or I could do something fun, or what I consider to be fun. So in TSU, actually I think it's Apache Haven even, although it's mentioned in Rise of Hawk, there is mention of an embassy building for Rona. Rona is another country. Aram is a city in the country of Irana, and its western neighbour is Kamo. Well, Kamo is the biggest city. The country is Rona. Now, near the end of Rise of Hawk, there's a mention, which I won't actually give you the context to because it's kind of spoilers, where the rebels are going to do a project, and in order to make the person doing the project a bit more comfortable, they'll set her up in the Ronan Embassy building. Now, I've had an idea for the embassy building, what I want it to look like, for ages. And I've recently found a picture of a building that just works. I saw the picture and I thought, oh, you know what? That is just... Oh, I got quite close to the ground then. That is absolutely the Ronan Embassy. And I've been looking around on my map and flying and stuff. Go for the gap, go for the gap, woo! And I think I might do it this episode. I've been looking for a location. I thought it has to be kind of around here somewhere, because despite the fact that the Ace of Spades, which is this building here, being a criminal undertaking, it is still, from a civilian point of view, just a casino. There's also big buildings, and there'll be more skyscrapers here when I can process the trauma of doing the tower building, which is ridiculously... It took a very long time. Granted, it's probably because it's so wide, but it's also tall. So this area here is going to be basically the place where the skyscrapers and the general business and less housing, less warehouse industrial area, and more sort of civilian hotels and big shops. And this is the Rainbow Library, because of reasons. There's also going to be a big hotel here. I just haven't got to it yet because it's big and complicated and irritated the crap out of me when I was trying to design it. And there's also over here is Facility 47, which is an agency facility, but there's like a bunch of other stuff around it. This is Facility 47. Oop. I got to upgrade it. It's I did it a long time ago, so there are other things I can do in there. Now I have to go up, drop, whee! So this area is going to be for things like hotels and tower buildings and libraries, and that's a very old mall which I also have to upgrade. And this is the corner. This is where the Facility 47 was originally put. I put it in the wrong place, so I pulled a Gemini Tay and moved it. The entire block I moved over there. And so there's a little bit of remnant here, but I thought I could maybe put the embassy here. I have to move. This is I'll just do a spinny and try and land without going poof. Whee, spin block. Okay, so this is actually the front of the theatre that I'm going to put over there closer to the tower. I put it here because I liked the fact that I spent like 2 days on it, and it looks pretty close to what I wanted it to look like, and didn't want to delete it and lose it. But it's just the facade, just the front. Go through the door and you fall. Does nothing. So I have to move this, but I could probably put the embassy building here. It is a building in France, I believe Paris, or it's a actual French embassy. I think, from memory, I haven't opened the window yet. This building is an ex-hotel. It's kind of U-shaped, so the entrance has sort of... The entrance is in the bit where the prongs face up, you know, with the U. And it's, of course, white, so I get to use quartz. I'd hate to do a lot of my builds in survival. Either that or I'd have to have a heck of a lot of villagers to produce the quartz. But I'm thinking I'll put the embassy here. The history in Arana, is that 100 years ago, just before the agency came into existence, there was an almost war with Ronan. So they closed down the embassy, or the Ronan workers left, so Arana closed down the embassy buildings in each of the main cities, and particularly in Aram, which is the capital city of Arana. And so this building's been, you know, not used for 90 years. And what Hawk does is he buys the rights to demolish old buildings. Let's see if I can do this. Made it through the building. Sorry, I've been trying to do that flight for a while now. I'm practicing, can you tell? So what Hawk does is to help house the rebels is there's a new initiative. A general idea of an initiative by the government, the civilian government, not the agency government, to get rid of as many of the abandoned buildings as possible. They sell the demolition rights of a building that needs to be demolished, and so for really cheap. So what you're actually doing is just buying up the land, or buying up the right to lease the land once you've demolished the place. And it's a really low rate, like a couple of $1,000, sort of like you're not actually buying the building or the land, you're buying the right to demolish the dead building and build your own building on it. And you lease the land from the government. That's the theory anyway. And so Hawke is buying up the demolition rights for lots of abandoned buildings, at least the ones that have livable spaces in them, and then using, all of the common red tapey things that occur in property sales and stuff like that, postpones the demolition indefinitely of those buildings, so that the rebels can live in them. And because there's been lots of abandoned buildings for a very long time, 90 years of the agency just randomly murdering people or forcibly conscripting them, there's lots and lots and lots and lots of abandoned buildings that are open for you to buy the demolition rights. So the Ronan Embassy was abandoned 90 years ago, just before the agency came to power. So it's not really livable, but it's pretty. White stone. It's in that beautiful sort of not with the pillars, but it's kind of classical French architecture. It's really pretty. I've put in the canon that Ronan culture Ronan culture has a base sort of way of building, big, with quartz, and the style of the museum and the UCL, I believe it's like the Roman style or something. I'll just give you a nice backdrop. So it fits their kind of semi-canon architecture. It has to be generic because the Ronan people have actually been around for tens of thousands of years, and the Ronan, they're actually technically Zetan is the original name. They've spanned for 20,000 years of history. I don't have all of the history, but I've got a lot of it. So it's in general kind of Frenchish, kind of Romanesque, with white, clean lines, different angles, pillars, that sort of crispy, not Gothic sort of vibe. Unfortunately, I'm not an architect or a historian of buildings, so I don't know the fancy words for it, but it should be fun. And I haven't done a U-shaped building before, not that kind of U-shaped, and I may even try again to do some custom trees and a garden of some variety. Depends on how I'm feeling. Hopefully, along with the pussycat face, I can make a joyful project instead of getting irritated and sad and frustrated and wanting to kill my computer for a little while. Although that's kind of typical of the creative process. So, now for the bit. For the bit with the words and the thing. Wish me luck, and cue the music. Meow. Welcome back. And the building is done. I'm quite happy with most of it. Looks quite nice from sort of this level, from sort of street level. The front of it is wider than the back of it, so I had to put a zigzag in the middle. It's not, I mean, in real life it's obviously a straight line, but as you know, that doesn't work. Not at this sort of scale. I am quite happy with all of it, except the roof. I don't like the roof. The roof looks okay at this angle, but when you take it up, it just irritates me. What also irritates me is that because I use mostly slabs and not blocks, it's not entirely symmetrical. And I've been poking at it to try and make it symmetrical, and I can still see bits that aren't working. Like this bit is not the same as this bit. Too much of a perfectionist, but that's okay. What I realized, I didn't actually know. I saw the picture. It's the Belgian embassy. I saw the picture and thought, oh my gosh, that's just perfect. Before I'd gone onto Google Maps to find out where it is and get good 3D pictures of it, only to discover that it's kind of a part of the big thing. I've got the words, but I can't speak French. But if you imagine this is Paris and not Aram, there's at the back of this is a road, a big circle road. In the middle is the big arch that Paris is actually quite well known for. According to Wiki, it is called the Arc de Triomphe. Triomphe? My IPA symbol reading is a little bit rusty. Obviously, Arc of Triumph, I'm gathering. So there's a big, ridiculously big arch thingy in the middle, and then there's a big round road, and there's 12 roads leading into it. The whole intersection is called, I cannot pronounce it, so I'm going to say it in English, something like 12, like Star Road or something. It's 12 roads anyway, and so that's why it's this shape, because it's actually parts of a circle, kind of like a blunt pizza piece. But what I didn't realize was there was a bunch of these almost identical buildings the whole way around the arch. Some of them are longer, some of them are wider, some of them are fatter, but they're basically the same sort of style. I mean, pretty much everything in Paris kind of has the same sort of style, and certainly the same height, but at least it's what it looks like when you go for a fly around on Google Maps. But this is going to sound a little odd. It sort of feels like the building is lonely. Like, in real life, it's surrounded in the bunches of other buildings just like it, and here it's alone. I don't think that makes sense, but that's okay. So I thought, seeing as there's already a little bit of infrastructure here, I could actually do more buildings of that sort of appearance, the same, colour scheme and the same textures, which you can't really see in mid-morning light. And just modify them a little, maybe borrow some other details from buildings that are close by, and actually make a almost complex, like either have one whole building or a few buildings gathered together. It might be easier if I keep like these paths and stuff and put like one here and one there and one there and maybe a garden there, because there's nothing under there. Actually, there's probably literally nothing under there, as in, yeah, nothing. But I can fix that. It's all good. So I'll see what I can do. I'll probably get annoyed, but it feels like it needs more of itself around instead of just one corner. I actually thought it would be bigger, but when I did the scale, that's why I originally tried to put it here. I thought I could sit it sort of like starting at the street and ending sort of here-ish in the middle, and then I could have either gardens or other smaller buildings either side, but it's tiny. So I put it here instead, particularly after I realized that this end is actually definitely the front. So we'll see what happens. Now, this is definitely a wish me luck kind of situation. Every time I see their face, I want to just go meow. Anyway, so I'll try and do a quick. It should be easier for me to replicate this basic palette, this basic build style, because I've already done it in this scale. So hopefully the second half will look like I've done a lot, but it won't actually be too hard. It'll just be sort of more grindy than brain, like time grindy than brain grindy, if you understand the distinction. I just have to figure out what I want to put where. and then later I can age things for filming, that kind of stuff. So, for the second half, absolutely wish me luck, because I'm not sure how hard this is going to be, but also cue the music. And welcome back. Also, meow. It's been really funny catching myself wearing this cat head. But, you know, what makes you laugh is good. So I've just done the one building of the complex I'd actually plotted out. This is due to scheduling. I only have a certain amount of hours per week that I'm well enough to actually work. And I'm trying to get to some kind of stable schedule, and finishing that hit right on the schedule. I'm actually recording very nearly at midnight, so I think I'm doing pretty well. I still hate the roofs, but I've figured out what's wrong. It's too flat. That's kind of obvious. It is rather flat, but those kinds of roofs, I haven't quite got the angles right yet, but that's okay. One will get there in the end. I will probably do the rest of the complex here over the next week for the next episode. And then I will probably go over to the warehouse, finish that warehouse complex, then try and get my brain to finish UCL, which is way over that way, and then we'll see what happens from there. I'm just gonna... Oop, almost lost it. I also want to mention I haven't been very well this winter. It's actually been pretty bad. And while it's spring here, so the world's warming up and I can start using my feet again, my hands, every winter's been getting worse. So I need to lower my stress levels, because stress makes fibro and my arthritis worse. So I may be changing the schedule I want to try and aim for one a week, but I don't have enough energy all year round to be able to achieve that task. It's probably better to figure out what kind of schedule works for me and then sort of go from there, because I'm not going to kill myself with work, particularly work that doesn't pay me yet. It just doesn't seem logical. And because I am on a disability, a welfare payment for disability, I'm not rich, I'm very, very poor, but my income is stable, so I can actually afford to make my own rules, make my own schedule and this sort of thing. This is meant to be fun and not stressful, so I'm going to start working out a new schedule, just see what my body wants to do, see how much work I can do before it starts getting stressful, see what I want to do. I would like to do, I'll just sit here because this is the beginning of what I'm just about to talk about. I would like to do the recordings for the Rise of Hawk. The old recordings are, I was in a very panicked state. It was 2020, so the recordings aren't very good, and I also didn't have a very good camera or microphone. This is only marginally better, this microphone. This is where it starts. Rise of Hawk starts on the cobbled ochre footpath in front of Star Mall. The blinky blinky lights. I figured out how to make blinky blinky lights. Isn't it cool? I'm illustrating how very little I know about redstone. I figured out how to make a redstone clock, so then that I can make it flicker. I'm very shiny today. But I could maybe start recording Rise of Hawk, the audio parts. I could probably film most of the first, I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe 6 scenes. No, not 6, 4. I could definitely film 5 scenes, the first 5 scenes of the book. The problem at the moment is actually the music and sounds. So like right now, if this was a movie, you'd be hearing car sounds and beepy sounds and talky sounds and maybe an aeroplane going overhead, which actually would be kind of a fun build, putting an aeroplane in the air. But I don't have access to that kind of noise, and I don't have the right equipment to record that kind of background noise, not to mention actual music to, help prompt the viewer to know what they're supposed to be feeling, particularly as first meow, but our faces don't make, you can't change, well, you can change, you have to change the whole skin to change what the face does. And you've got like, I think it's like 16 or 8 pixels. You don't have many pixels to actually try and put expressions. And this one only has 2 pixels from the bottom of his eyes to his chin. So making a face is very hard, like with expressions. So we have to use the music to help the viewer know what they're supposed to be feeling. Meow again. And I can't actually access, there aren't any free copyright free music. You have to pay for it. The music that I use for my montages expressly forbids using it in audiobooks. And while what I'm doing isn't strictly an audiobook, I mean, it is, but it isn't, I don't really want to argue the, like, if I get into trouble for copyright, I do not have the resources to make a legal fight. I try and practice my flying whenever I can. That run is hard. I haven't tried this one yet in here, but lots of E. And now I'm thinking of a Holy Grail with weird other notes that say ni. Almost E, but ni. Anyway, Ushani again. So yes, I have trouble with the getting the music part. I don't have any finances. I suppose I could set up a coffee, but, or however you say that, but I don't really have fans. I'm hoping that someone is watching this eventually in the future and going, haha, you're saying you don't have friends, you've got 10 million, I don't know, whatever. Pick a number, which I've actually done as a viewer. I've watched a YouTube channel and like binge watched everything they watched. They posted, and there was one that was like, oh my god, I've got like 1,000 viewers, and you check their current count, and it was like 50,000 or something. I would love for that day to happen, but as long as I don't get into trouble. But for the moment, I have pretty much like 5 viewers, maybe, sometimes. But I've lost my track. The overall summary is that I need to not worry about annoying possible viewers and figure out what works for me and go from there and see where it heads. There are things I cannot control, like my lack of finances, and I just have to work with what I have and go from there. There's always an answer, even if it's to make my own music, which I currently have no idea how to do that, but I'm not without some musical talent. But we'll see what happens. For now, I'm going to put myself to the front again. Meow. And until next time, Aranitasa.